Well, I don't think anyone saw that trailer coming, especially not on a Friday night. I'm of course talking about the Picard Season 2 new trailer that dropped over the weekend, and I'm going to be discussing it a little bit in detail. So as always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, so let's get to it. So we knew that the Borg Queen, the Q and time travel are all going to feature in Picard Season 2, but what else is going on in this trailer? So we see some old new Federation ships, Nova and Steamrunner class. From about the late 90s, I think the Steamrunner was first seen in First Contact, and the Nova class was 99-2000 in the Voyager 2-parter Equinox, and they're chasing the last Serena, which does look a little bit different. Now, we know straight away that there is some time changes in this season, or they're going to be going back to change time or correct time, which is why things look different. So although this is presented at the start of the trailer, it's safe to say it probably won't happen at the start of the episode. And speaking of time travel, they appear to be going round the sun, and if you've seen a Star Trek film or two, you'll know exactly where that's from. We then get a voiceover of Picard talking about how moments can haunt us all our lives. Now, is he referring to his life or someone else's life? Because they do make a mention of the year that they're going back to, so it wouldn't be Picard himself, but it could be one of his descendants. While this is going on, we do see some interior shots of the crew, and Seven doesn't have her implants, which again makes me think that this probably isn't them travelling to the travelling to the alternative timeline, but them trying to get back to their own one. But it could just have been edited for the trailers. A lot of people do this, most notably Marvel. Picard seems to wake up in alternative history thanks to Q. Seven does seem to understand something of what's going on, that reality has been broken. Picard seeks out Guinan in this alternative Earth, where she's been able to sense changes in the timeline before. Most notably, all the way back to the start of Star Trek, with yesterday's Enterprise, Tasha Yar, the Enterprise C, yada yada yada, you get it all. She's at a bar, which is number 10 in the Forward District of Los Angeles, so yeah, I know. And it seems that she also hasn't changed her style in about 30 years as well. She's still sporting the big hat and the robes and the sort of purpley reddy motif. But I wonder what she's been up to all these years since we last seen her, because in terms of canon, we haven't seen Guinan going back till the first Next Generation movie, Generation. So are we going to get a lot of blanks filled in here? Is she maybe going to bookend the series? I don't think Whoopi Goldberg's going to be in it too much from the trailers that we've seen, as well as a few other characters. And speaking of which, I don't think Eleanor's going to be long for this season. We get a few clips of people over his body. You can see Raffi quite clearly. And if you notice from this trailer and the last trailer, there's not a lot of Soji either. So I suspect she's just going to be in the first episode, and then that's going to be it. Because again, this season is all about time travel, and I think they're probably going to get rid of a few mistakes of the first season. They've done it straight away already in this trailer with delivering us with familiar ships, because one of the big letdowns of Picard was that finale when all the copy and paste Starfleet ships showed up to fight the copy and paste Romulan ships, and it got quite a lot of hassle and quite a lot of feedback online, and quite rightly so. So it seems that they are listening to fans, and this season, in season 3, do have a new showrunner, and he did actually do a show based on the 12 Monkeys movie, which was pretty good. I don't remember all of it, I remember I watched most of it, but the first couple of seasons of that were excellent. I'd recommend checking it out. I think it's actually on Netflix in some regions if you can get it. Now, it seems that they need to go back to the year 2024, but why 2024? What happens there, or what will happen? We've seen glimpses of the Sanctuary District. We see a few of the crew members have run-ins with the law. We even see some policemen on board the La Sirena interacting with the Borg Queen, so it sort of suggests that the ship is going to land. Although I don't know how they're going to hide it unless they land it out in the middle of nowhere, because it's not like as a cloaking device they can just dump it in a park. But I wonder what's going on with the Borg Queen as well. I didn't think she was going to feature that prominently in the season, but it seems that they're using her, or at the very least they need her to go back in time if she's on board the ship. There's also a quick glimpse of her sort of seemingly chasing Agnes as well. And that's one thing I don't get. Why is Agnes going along for this? She was the robotics expert. and there's no real significant robotics as far as we know in 2024. So what is she going to bring to the table? Because they're getting rid of two other characters. I don't think that'd be the only two that they're getting rid of. I know she's got that little romance going on with the captain, but I don't see that being able to sustain the character's arc over an entire season. And it's not only the crew of the La Sirena we also get a familiar face with Brent Spiner showing up as A soon, I suppose. We see him interact with Q, and Q hands him this liquid in this sort of vial. Now there's people online saying that this is a bullet, but it does just look like a vial to me. But what does this blue liquid do? And is this a Sun from the past or one from the present? I'll be honest, I'm really sick of this. I hope they drop it. They need to find an excuse to stop bringing Brent Spiner back. It is getting a little bit old. But if we are dealing with alternative histories, and in this one we are, because we see the different uniforms, we see a different what appears to be Enterprise D interacting with the Borg, and we see some sort of ex-Borg drones as well attacking the crew. So in this alternative timeline, it seems that maybe the Federation or Starfleet have been a bit more successful with beating the Borg, and maybe they've even managed to save a few of them as well. But it does make me wonder, why are the crew of the La Sirena the only ones immune from this time change? As far as we can tell from the trailers, no one else seems to know what's going on around them. So does that mean we're going to see alternate versions of Riker, Troy and Worf and those people? Or are they going to be aware of the change as well? I don't think they're going to be aware of the change. I think we are going to get to see the alternative versions, and I don't think that this is the Mirrorverse. It does appear to be a darker version of the Prime universe, where the Federation has maybe suffered a few defeats or maybe taken a few more bigger blows and has to be a bit more on the defensive rather than be a bit more diplomatic. Because with these black uniforms and things, I know it sort of conjures up images of fascism and the dark Mirrorverse, but I don't think where that's going, whatever this event was, I don't think it's the Mirrorverse. Now, one thing that we've seen in both trailers is children or a child. In this one we see a child get a mind meld from a Vulcan, and it's out in the middle of the woods, so there's no real frame of reference of Star Trek uniforms or Starfleet uniforms or ships or anything that we can say that this happens at that specific point. It could be in the year 2024, it could be somewhere in between there and where Picard season 1 left off, because the first trailer it looked as if it was a child in Picard's home and we all assumed that that was him. So is it maybe one of Picard's relatives that changes the past or changed the past and Picard has to go back and help it or stop it? I think there's going to be a bittersweet twist to whatever it is they've got to do to restore the timeline and maybe sacrifice a few people along the way. And it does seem that they are packing a lot of Trek lore into this season just from the trailer, and no doubt there's going to be a lot more than we've seen. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Picard season 1. I think in terms of how Star Trek looks on screen, it's the best version of Star Trek. It looks the way that a future Star Trek should look. But the story really let it down, and the constant relying on data and Brent Spiner I felt was just not progressing the story. There was also a ton of changes to the character of Picard that I wasn't happy as well, but I'm not going to go into a gripe about that. I'm looking forward to season 2 because again the new showrunners and the new directions and the fact that they're sort of course correcting their own show, for me it's a bit of a positive sign, but also they've already done time travel to correct the issues with Discovery, so in the long run, is this going to pay off for Picard and Star Trek? The jury's out, and the trial, quite frankly friends, is never over. But let me know what you think about this trailer in the comments below. I'm going to do a bit more of a detailed breakdown of it before the show starts. You can also follow me on Twitter at TheGeeksReviews. Is this something that you want to see? What do you want to see? What sort of alternative versions do you want to see? I want to hear from you. As always, I'm Al, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and do look after yourself.